Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the 10-minute summary. I just reviewed the full game. If you want to check the full game, it's going to be on YouTube as well. This is for the people that want something shorter, something sweeter. This was a very intriguing game, interesting game, because we could see the nature of how the meta is starting to develop, with the heavy emphasis on Rift Herald spawning twice, the Drakes also being, so strong building up towards the Dragon Soul, even though I think there is an argument to be made that every individual Drake is quite weak. With how they've been nerfed. Ocean Drake, I think, is the one that is the strongest because it still heals you in combat. 4% AD, 4% AP is not too exciting on Infernal, but most of the games we've seen in competitive so far have been around big team fights, being first in location and how the compositions work with each other. This particular draft, the biggest issue here for, of course, FPX later is going to be finding access with champions like Renekton and Rek'Sai against Senna and Cassio. Senna, Thresh, Cassio have an easy time of flaying the short range dash, very predictable slow dash of Renekton. Same with Rek'Sai, very difficult for them to find backline access, and this is something that they need to do. They need to find flanks. Usually flanks works at the benefit of, they work when the enemy doesn't think about it. And ES in this particular game were very methodical and slow in their approach. They knew that their draft was better, so they didn't need to take any big risks. So they were just playing on time, making sure that they were kiting, never rushing forward. Was a very, very big deal. In the early game, the biggest difficulty for, of course, FPX is going to be the 2v2 mid lane. Cassio interacts so well with Rek'Sai, and unless you manage to snowball the Cassio early on with, for example, a Rek'Sai flash and make sure that Ryze snowballs in this matchup, then it's going to be quite difficult for the enemy to continue. Something that we could have considered is, if we take a look at the bans that happened, Cassiopeia was indeed the last pick. Tahm was banned to deny the Senna Tahm combo, which is understandable too, especially against Nautilus. Thresh was locked in, and I think Thresh and Tahm serve the same purpose here. So I think if you ban Tahm and Thresh is open, it's kind of a waste of ban. So this definitely could have been Cassiopeia to make sure that the draft is better. And then at the same time, I don't agree with the Misfortune ban when Aphelios is in the picture, when Senna's in the picture. The next question is if Aphelios is kind of overrated. We've seen him 3 times now in competitive play, 2 times played by Kramer, now played by LWX. Maybe it's just a bubble, maybe the nerf is big enough, and maybe it's something that, is extremely powerful in some certain situations. Because for now, it doesn't look too exciting in competitive play. Senna just looks way easier to execute. She looks stronger, and it just looks more OP in general. So MF ban, okay. Rek'Sai lock-in, I like this jungler, but together with Renekton, it didn't look too strong. It was just too weak in team fights. There needed to be a top laner here that compensated. And honestly, if they picked Ornn here, if Renekton was Ornn, I think it would have been juicy. It would have been juicy, and then with the Ryze, if they for some reason, here Cassio ban, look to lock in Ryze. You have the Nautilus flex in case enemy goes for Ryze 4th pick, and I think it is just a better draft. Here, Ornn, lock in Ryze, make sure you ban Cassio, it's better. But of course, I didn't realize I'm talking about Ornn. Ornn was banned here. Then maybe GP, just pick GP is better. Pick freaking GP. I didn't even realize that Ornn is banned, so I apologize for that one. I just think that the Tahm Thresh is all the same. Maybe you just lock in another tank, Maokai, and you go for it. But definitely, Cassio ban is good here, because Cassio is just too good against Rek'Sai and Renekton. So, always when you have a composition that is weak in team fight, you need to make sure that you snowball as hard as possible. And there were a couple of moments where you could see that FPX were the more mature team, the stronger team in terms of macro. It definitely, looked like they managed to get things just because they were ahead on tempo and so forth. I want to take a look at some of these key moments that I noted down. 14 minutes. This was a situation where the map was divided. The enemy was Rek'Sai was invading red. They spotted. A Rumble just spotted him. He knows that he's getting pressured and sieged. Here, the big move from FPX's bot lane is that they went up here and they warded the red buff, spotting Jarvan. So they had enough time to clear the creeps on bottom side. They cleared the creeps on bottom side, they managed to gain as much tempo as possible, when in reality the position here should be that they're trading Rumble CS for bottom CS. But Nautilus and Aphelios got away with a lot here, they managed to clear the wave. Obviously, FPX's bot lane cannot walk up and contest the wave because Jarvan is controlling this whole side of the jungle, and the same way Rek'Sai is controlling this whole side of the jungle. Ryze will step into here, look to pressure the Rumble, and Cassio will hover into bottom side. Rek'Sai is showing, so Ryze will not have prior on mid lane, Cassio can look up and pressure. The most important thing here is that Rumble wants to TP as fast as possible into bot and look for a dive. When the wave crashes, Jarvan and Cassio needs to be in position. It's important that Senna and Thresh coordinate so the wave crashes and they can dive together, because here FPX spotted Jarvan. With them spotting Jarvan, they walked into the wave, cleared it quickly with Aphelios, and all was good, and they gained a lot of tempo. So this was one major problem here for ES, and FPX showing that they are very mature when it comes to game knowledge and making macro decisions. Here I think Khan could have kept his flash, but as you can see, this dive happens top side. Once again, FPX's bot lane are very safe and nothing happened to them. They lost a couple of CS from before, but they're very happy with this situation. And right now, this is the first kill that we see. A root from Aphelios and then a one-shot onto Wink. It's a good one. The big thing here that you need to highlight is the 2v2 for mid lane. That is the way in for ES. Nautilus and Aphelios matchup on bottom is going to be easier now as they reach level 6 on Nautilus. All-laning is going to be so strong. So the way you control bottom and making sure that they don't all-in is you use the fact that you have a TP advantage on Rumble, you control this whole space, you use Jarvan and Cassio 2v2 mid and just control into here, and then never can Nautilus cross river. So this is the big deal here. The 2v2 mid is just so strong. Cassio just is perfect against Ryze and Rek'Sai. It's funny how Cassio is good against every champion that starts with R. Renekton, Rek'Sai, Ryze, Rumble. You know, this is just, I think it's unintended though. I think definitely it's unintended. Let me just move my camera. Okay, let's move on to the next moment. The next moment, 1830. 1830. This was also very good for FPX. They are being very greedy here. They are pushing up, and ES could have definitely TP'd earlier. I think this is just a question of game knowledge again. They use all TPs into bottom, and it ends up in a situation where ES are even 5 people on bottom. Cassio TPs very late, and I think this was very you know, uncoordinated and very sloppy from ES, because they could have TP'd earlier, potentially killed Aphelios and gained a lot of tempo. Instead they used 2 TPs and Khan gets the push top for free. So this is a big deal. Very big deal. Next moment, very similar, but this is more something that I've noticed about FPX. It's a mistake that they do very often. We're just gonna clear everything that we've painted. Okay. So this moment here. So here we have the replay. The issue here is that FPX have made the decision with, basically Khan made the decision of pushing top tower, trading it for the Drake, which is completely fine. I agree with the decision. You get a lot of gold, you gain a lot of lead here on Renekton. It's going to be necessary in order for them to find any way of snowballing this game. But at the same time, FPX are contesting and looking to contest the space, and it's just very bad, because right now it's very evident that ES are in full control of the space and they cannot enter. So this is another very big mistake from FPX. Very big. This is something that we saw in the IG series as well, but giving up 2 kills here against a comp that is superior than yours, giving up Drake, all of a sudden trading the turret top for all of this shite. I don't know why I said shite. Is terrible. It's very bad. So giving up these kills, walking up in this space when you honestly don't need to, because there's not going to be a dive. Not going to be a dive at all on bottom tower, because Renekton has TP, and if they want to fight afterwards, okay, no problem. Next thing that happens is a big team fight at Herald, and this is the time where, you know, you clearly see the issue with the composition of FPX. So first and foremost, Khan is looking for this flank position, but Wei spots him. So he spots him, kicks him out, very, very good. Then we continue on here. Rift Herald is secured. This is just FPX being superior in terms of macro. They were here first. They were better on tempo in terms of the previous midway, but we don't need to show that. Just trust me. They walk up here, and then now you can see that the Renekton and Rek'Sai just cannot get any access. How did they enter here? I don't know what Tian is really doing. It's kind of, you know, it is justified to question mark ping him because he's just walking back into the pit. Rumblewood does very little, and this was a fight that was definitely on the terms of FPX, because here is ES are walking towards them, but how do you get access to the Senna, Thresh and Cassio? That is so difficult about this. So we had a 1-for-1 situation, but still ES get the better access into mid lane and they get the mid tower, which is always a big deal because it gives you so much space. You guys know how much I love talking about the mid lane turret. So this is huge. And this definitely highlighted how difficult it is for Renekton and Rek'Sai to get access, even after an Nautilus ult that practically lands on everyone. But at the moment you're trying to rush into Cassio and you don't have flanks, it's very difficult. And this is the story of the game. ES never lets any flanks happen. They were kiting very well. They're playing this game very slow and methodically. You can see it in the full replay as well. The next one is 28. Nashor, FPX, went for a very desperate play to try to kill, they killed Rumble, but Rek'Sai is showing on bottom, and Renekton cannot TP because he's too low, and ES are just going for Nash. They have Cassio, it goes very fast and they get the Nash. So honestly, here in this position, most of the time I would call game over. FPX, I was hoping for them to find some creative way to go in. Didn't really happen. 32, we had a moment where I rolled slow and methodical, whatever that means in my notes. Oh, they're just not taking any risks here. You could see Khan is looking for a flank, but ES are playing towards their vision. They're playing towards their vision. They're not getting executed by any of the ideas that FPX has, because FPX can be very punishing. Alright. The rest of the game is honestly just slow and methodical. FPX not finding any entry. Tian inting a little bit. We can look at this 45-minute fight here. It's a quite a big one. We're gonna take a step back because honestly this was FPX's biggest chance. They're walking up to the turret, and the big mistake here is ES are showing. This is a very free fight, especially after Tian gets hooked, and this is a monstrous ult from Wei. Keep in mind, FPX are right now sandwiched between ES and also ES's base. I know it looks kind of weird because naturally you think that this is FPX's base because of their position, but it's not. And ES are just first killing Tian, but the mistake here is just Cryan just flashes in for no reason. He flashes in, and Crisp manages to hook him right before Crisp dies, and then here Cassio dies, and that's the only reason this is close. But then you can see how OP Senna is here. Senna is solo HP, and then boom, she heals herself. She's invisible, which means she gets the first auto, 2 auto attacks, and then she's dead. Khan tries to do something, but Renekton is playing garbage. So, game now over. They managed to secure the Elder later, Baron later. I don't need to show that. The summary here is better draft definitely wins. No way of Renekton and Rek'Sai to get access to the Cassio and Thresh. Renekton and Rek'Sai, we should definitely put them down on our prior board because they did nothing in terms of contributing to this composition, and being stronger and split, stronger and early, just doesn't matter at all. Was quite terrible, honestly. So thank you so much for watching. If you wanted to look at the full review, check it out. It's going to be on YouTube. I'm going to upload these videos next to each other. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your feedback. If you have any thoughts, any feedback, go ahead. I hope I went through the most important points.